Hello, welcome to Laura's Painted Minis. I am Laura, and we are back with the Ogre from, I believe this is from Next Level Minis. I think it was from their first Kickstarter, so he's a little bit of, like, seemingly a little bit smaller than most ogres that we have. And I was starting off with playing around with kind of purplish shadows on the skin tone. So here's the different mixes I've got. I'm going to focus kind of more on one area so I can actually kind of finish all the way up to a highlight. Kind of almost looks like fire, because it's kind of an orangey yellow there. Last week I had my yellow definitely thinned a little bit too much. So I made sure to kind of hold back a little bit. I'm kind of going back over because it was a little too thin. So I've got the second shadow color. It's a drop of the burgundy wine and 3 drops of ogre skin. That's what I'm using right now. And since I was doing it all over the whole body, I did kind of rush things a little bit last week. So it is burgundy wine. That is the really dark purpley color. So I have been experimenting with that color a bit. I'm just going to kind of go over where I've painted with this shadow color. And then I'll probably go back to the face and just do the face all the way up. I think this will be the easiest and quickest way to kind of fix some of the areas where the yellow is definitely not working very well because it was too thin. Got the were rats all packed up, and they are just waiting for to be picked up. So they did end up selling second time round. Wasn't too worried because sometimes the initial posting, if it's not one of those minis that a lot of people are looking for, it sometimes just takes a little time. Also depends too when I end up actually posting it the first time, if it's kind of hits that window when a lot of people are maybe looking on eBay. Okay, now we're back down to the second shadow. Pretty much all over. I'm going to come in with some Ogre skin again. I had my one shots over the weekend. I feel like they went pretty well. Started running out of time for the kind of Phantom of the Opera one. They were doing a really good job getting into really investigating and asking questions, interacting with characters and stuff. But it's definitely one of those things where I think we almost needed probably 6 hours to like for them to really explore everything, be able to explore everything, have time to do that, and then do the other stuff that's built into it. That's kind of following the similar storyline as Phantom of the Opera. There's a point where they have to improvise an intermission show, so that was kind of fun. There was a list provided of like some interesting props that they might find, so I just had them each. They technically in the module it had me rolling twice for each character, but I just had them, especially just to make it so it's not so they were just sitting there watching me roll, figure things out, and then having to also like write it down. Since we were running out of time, that was something I thought would be fun to still keep in, even though we were running out of time. Adds to the drama of the story and whatnot. That, you know, the ghost knows they're there and snooping around, and so they pretending to act like he thinks that they're just last minute actors hired on, and also use them for a distraction to kidnap they called her Colleen because, you know, they didn't want to have to deal with any copyright issues or anything like that. But it would be Christine, if you're familiar. So, same kind of character. Then I just had them kind of describe, okay, how are you using your props to act out something during the intermission? Technically, I was supposed to give them like 10 minutes to come up with something on their own. It was something like an actual play. 15, it'd be like, you know, coming up with a very short, like 10-15 minute play is the idea. But again, we were pressed for time. I also had like, there were 4 younger. I don't know for sure, but I would guess like there was probably like an average. They were all like around 10, 12 or so, maybe 8 for one of the younger ones. So there were 4 of them that were younger. And then yeah, I just had them based on what they described. I kind of looked at the skill list and had them roll a skill check, basically. And then if they struggled coming up with ideas at first, or if they end up like failing their check, there were things that happened. And the later evening one, I ended up kind of tweaking the big boss just a little bit, basically just negating the night. Like he was supposed to have the 9th level spell power word kill, and I was just like looking at it and I was like, that would definitely automatically kill one of the players. And there were only 2 players. uh, and I was kind of wanting them to end up taking out the Lich. They had gotten so close already by the time I actually looked at that spell. I was like, I'll just knock him down a little bit. And just not have that spell, and that will help kind of knock down the challenge rating. There was only 2 level 10 characters. That was like a challenge rating of like 21. Not advisable. There are only 2 of you to go after a Lich. Unless you like more like level 12 each. Real? No. No, you would both need to be level 20 pretty much. Just thinking like based on there's like a calculation method from Sly Flourish, I think it is, aka the lazy GM, for being able to essentially figure out, is this encounter going to be deadly, or which means, you know, it'll possibly kill someone, um, possibly everyone. Just bringing that burgundy wine dark shadow back in. so that some of the announcements made at Gen Con. I wasn't there. I was running games. Kind of curious, specifically about and this is something I could find out if I just go and actually look at Critical Role's page and stuff. I'm curious about what their new campaign will be, like specifically if they're basically doing only like Dagger Heart stuff, since that's kind of their thing that they started. At least that's my understanding. Is they kind of had a big hand in it. I forget if they technically own Darrington Press or what. So that is the case. I might start actually trying to tune in when that starts. I'll still probably primarily watch like High Rollers and stuff, since that's really where I've kind of been watching as far as a live stream sorts. I don't usually end up getting to watch the actual live stream of High Rollers. Now this next highlight that I have started working in is a mix of Ogre Skin and actually Treasure Map. Doing a little bit of back and forth with Ogres, just straight up Ogre Skin to get it somewhat blended, I guess. Probably need to thin this highlight, because it is pretty different value change between the two, between Ogre Skin and this. But for now, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of wet blending. I had to stop on that one because it was definitely starting to dry, and so I was just pulling the paint up instead of wet blending. Bring in that second shadow, bring out the scar here, because that would stay a little bit darker. Well, depending on what kind of a scar it is, I guess. There we go. It's looking a little smoother. That is just added the, gonna be what the final highlight will be. Might need to be stirred up again. But it is a mix of treasure map and tanned highlight. It needs a little bit of a glaze of sorts to really smooth things out. And I might need and probably thin these highlight colors down more. Hello, Deck Knight. Thanks. Yeah, this is a little different than what I would normally do. And I'm, in general right now, as something I'm trying to focus on growing in is not losing my shadows and highlights so that I still have a lot of contrast. Okay. The nice thing about yellow being just naturally more transparent is being able to easily, I mean, I guess one, easily blend things, but you know, I just gotten a little bit too much out of line with the highlight there, and so it's just come in and with the shadow and then kind of fix it a little bit. Because being a little more transparent also means that it can be covered up rather easily by other colors. We're about at the end of time, so I'll just make a glaze of the out of the ogre skin color, actually called ogre skin, to just to clarify what I meant. Since this is an ogre and I am painting his skin. Yeah. Just gonna make a light glaze. So right here, 1 drop of the ogre skin and 1 brush full of water. I'm gonna actually add a little bit more. So I just want to make sure it's not too strong. This will just tint things just a little bit. Focus just on the areas where I was doing all the highlights and stuff. This can be an easy way to end up losing your shadows and highlights, but it smooths things out and you can just easily come back. Like I just usually could easily come back with my shadow and my highlight. Definitely want like a nice brush that keeps its tip. Just gonna go all over where I was painting today. Quick rinse that out and kind of squeeze out a lot of the water and come in here where you can tell it's pooling. We do not want it to pool. It's not a wash. is not gonna look, it's not gonna work like a wash. Even though it is pooling, it will not have it'll have a coffee stain effect. So if you if it looks weird after you're doing a glaze and you're not getting in real quickly with a clean, mostly dry brush to kind of get in those areas basically where you don't want it to be tinting too much. Thanks. And you can avoid that somewhat if you are just more, they do it. I've heard it called like spot glazing, basically, where you just it's essentially just like painting on your using a glaze and just sticking to where you want the glaze to be. But yeah, this is definitely looking really good. It's definitely, I'm liking how it's turning out. We need a little more blending here where we get to the shadow areas, I think. But yeah, just takes a little bit more time and work to really get it so that we get some good blends and also aren't losing the shadows and highlights. I feel like that is like the one thing that I constantly need to be reminded of. It's just like, even like really great painters have to take time. You know, they aren't able to just quickly go and have it look like this. You know, maybe there's some people out there who are just amazing speed painters. But most of the painters I've seen, even ones that are faster than me, still do have to take time to get these really nice blends. Some of them are thinning their paint down even further than I do and doing even more mixes than I do to get that. These are all the different mixes, in case you're wondering. So we got the darkest shadow, which is burgundy wine. Then this next one is a drop of burgundy wine, and then the ogre skin. That's mostly just ogre skin. It might have gotten a little bit of that into it as well when I was mixing. Then we got that first highlight. See, about 50-50 of these two, treasure map and ogre skin. And then this right up here to kind of give a little bit more of a humanoid or natural, I guess, to bring in more of a natural skin color. Got these two mixed together. Yeah, I do have them thinned. Most of them are thinned like about 2-to-1 paint to water. But I've been some people I think it seems like maybe they are thinning possibly even more, or it's just naturally thinning out more because they're using a wet palette. But yeah, got definitely a good start on this guy. Thursday, we're coming in at the end. Thursday we'll work some more on some orcs. These are the Orcs of the Ragged Wound from the Reaper Bones Kickstarter. So yeah, still got this guy to get the skin painted up. I'm going very much much more kind of essentially like Tolkien type orcs than the normal vibrant green that a lot of people do, and I sometimes do that too. It's just my specific campaign that I'm doing. I've actually created a different race that's yeah, sort of a mixture of like the orc. As far as D&D goes, it's a lot of mix of like orcs, hobgoblins, and goblins. As far as like stats and stuff like that. But I kind of do envision more of kind of dark and gritty, like the Tolkien works. So that's what I'll be working on Thursday. It'll be same time, 1:15 p.m. Central. We'll be back on this guy next Monday. So yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks Deck Knight for chatting along, and I hope you have a good next couple of days, and I'll see you Thursday. Bye.